Welcome to another episode of Five Strands with Art Del Cueto. You got a different look going on today. I wanted to get something put out there, and the area where I usually set up and shoot, I got other things going on there. We just got done having a party, all right? Hence, the mustache is a little different. Today I got rid of the goatee. It was a 70s party. And no, I'm not going to post pictures of how the party went or how I was dressed, but it was a good time. It was a kid's birthday party, and we had a good time. But I wanted to jump on here for quite some time. I wanted to talk about Kristi Noem. So Kristi Noem has been removed from the Secretary of Homeland Security. I think she did a fantastic job. So I know that now, obviously, once that she's been moved to a different position, people have come out of the woodwork and been able to criticize and talk smack. There's even some individuals that I have paneled with that at times had said, "Oh, she's doing a fantastic job. She's great. She's this, she's that." All of a sudden now they're out here talking and saying, "Well, maybe she did this because of this." Maybe so. It just, you know what? I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I'm a little shocked at some of the people that like to talk smack once everything is all said and done with. But I shouldn't be surprised, and I'm not. I'm shocked, again, because I think she did a fantastic job. She was handed over just a dumpster fire. That's what it comes down to. It was a complete dumpster fire that she took over, and she managed to drop the numbers. She managed to establish more security. The morale of the agents was higher than it's ever been, and a lot of it is because what she's done. Now, of course, with President Trump has a big say in that. But you got to remember, President Trump, the first time he was in office, he did a fantastic job. But I don't think you saw as much participation or as much help from some of the people in leadership at that point. And Kristi Noem has obviously done a fantastic job, and she's going to get criticized. As I've always said, look, when you're on top of the target, you're going to take the most shots, shot towards you because you are on top of the target, and they realize you're doing something. But you need to remember, look, she came from a non-law enforcement background, and she did a fantastic job all around. So to me, I thank her for the job she has done, and I think she's going to do a fantastic job moving forward in her new position. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about is I've seen other individuals get removed from their positions within Homeland Security. They don't have another job waiting. They're done. Hey, go find something else to do. They'll do what I do, right? They'll start commenting or they'll start getting interviewed for stuff. But she gets out of her role as Secretary of Homeland Security and immediately jumps into another role, which I think is pretty cool. And I think she's going to do a fantastic job. There's a new Secretary of Homeland Security, Senator Mullen. I think he's going to do a fantastic job. I've seen some of the things he's done, and I think he's going to be really, really good. So I think all in all, President Trump, he knows when it's time to, put people in different positions and what needs to be done. And he continues to do so and continues to do a good job. So I'm very hopeful for the future. I'm very hopeful that we have the right thing going forward. The only thing that I'm upset about right now is with the funding. So funding at DHS is still the government is shut down on that end. And that's what's upsetting, especially with everything else that's going on in the world. You got TSA out there. They're not getting paid. Other entities within DHS. My understanding is Border Patrol agents did get paid. However, there was funds that were moved, so you don't know when the next paycheck or if the next paycheck is coming based on the government being shut down on that end. And so I think that's what's really upsetting. And when people talk about the issues overseas, look, and you need to be aware of this, and I'm just going to flat out perhaps put fear in people's minds, and that's okay. I think some of us need to be shooken up once in a while. The Biden administration allowed individuals from 168 different countries to enter the United States. 168 different countries. Now, many of them, I always like to say they weren't vetted correctly. I don't like to say they weren't vetted. Those individuals that asked for asylum that came in, they were fingerprinted, and if there was no record found of crime within that database, they were released in the United States. There's no possible way to really know what crimes they committed in their own countries. So that's the first red flag in my eyes. Number two, a lot of them were individuals that were of military age, that they were running away from whatever they said they were running away, but they left their families behind. Look, most of us that have families and that have children, if you're running away from something or there's an issue, I'm not going to leave my wife and my child behind so, they can continue to deal with the dangers. So that to me is another red flag. And then the biggest one, realistically, is when you start looking at the issues within those that cross the border, there was a lot of individuals that entered that were not in any way, shape, or form. They weren't vetted at all. So those are the famous gotaways that I like to talk about all the time. There's a group of individuals that, so if you're allowing people from 168 different countries, that however the vetting goes, right? And they've come through, they've been released in the United States, waiting on their case, whatever it may be. Those other gotaways, they're from 168 different countries as well, if not more so. And those people, we have no idea who they are. So we have, and I say it all the time, we have opening day baseball games going on. You got all kinds of sporting events, whatever it may be. Keep your heads on that swivel. Look around. Pay attention to what's going on. Don't be scared to call it in and report it if there's an issue, because as I said, we allow too many individuals in here that hate America. And you see it when I'm constantly looking at the news and I see these people flying foreign flags. They truly hate the United States. And we also have individuals in the United States that I don't think they have a real allegiance towards our country, because they're pretty comfortable waving flags of another country as well. And if you follow on my Instagram, I know I'm petty about this. I know I am. But it is my biggest pet peeve. If you can't even root for the United States team in a sporting events, then yes, I don't care who I offend. I'm going to question every single one of your allegiance towards this country in a it hits the fan scenario. So that's huge. And another story that's been on the news that I've been bothered by is there was some individuals out in Rio Grande Valley that got detained by ICE. They were put in detention facility. There's a couple of politicians that were making a big deal out of it, saying, hey, release them. They play mariachi music, whatever it may be. I've read some of those stories. Those individuals just barely entered in 2023 and asked for asylum. And they were pending and they were detained. One of them that asked for asylum has already turned 18. So he was younger when they asked. He's now turned 18. So I think that changes it. But enough people made a big deal out of it where they released him from the detention facility. What they should have done is expedited that case and seen, do you really have an asylum claim or not? And if you don't, you get sent back. There seems to be this weird logic in social media and in America, I guess at times, that people that come into the country and ask for asylum, they automatically get to stay. And I honestly, again, I blame the Biden administration because they push that false narrative and that false hope of just ask for asylum, we'll release you and show up to court when you show up to court. So I think that's a huge problem, and it's going to continue to be a huge problem moving forward, as well as we don't know what individuals are in the country. I've often get asked, is it sleeper cells? What else would you call them? But under the 4 years of the Biden administration, it was complete chaos. It was chaos with those that went unvetted. It was chaos with those that weren't vetted properly. It was chaos with the gotaways. And obviously now we are continuing to see that it was chaos with those that asked for asylum. And for whatever reason, people think is that's enough. Asking for it gets you to stay. So look, keep your eyes open, heads on the swivel. I'm not saying live paranoid, but I am saying pay attention to everything that's going on around you. And again, I've stressed it many times. Learn if you're going to carry a weapon for self-defense, for protection of your property, of your loved ones in your home, take the proper training. And even after you take the proper training, go and continue to train with that weapon. Don't just take training, get some classes, and then leave the weapon in your drawer, in your safe, or wherever it is that you may be. I try to get out to the range and shoot at least 2 to 3 times a week. Maybe that's a little bit too much for some or not enough for others. But I do it because obviously my DM is filled with threats and everything else. And at the same time, I enjoy shooting. I'm also look, certified NRA instructor for CCWs and Leosa. So I try to keep my skills up, and I enjoy shooting. But it's not for everyone. But definitely, if you are going to go out there and make that decision, which I think everyone should, please train. And once you've trained, continue to train often. That's the only way you're going to be able to know what's going on. And of course, if you take a training, take something that actually teaches you the laws, that we know the ins and outs of everything. On a final note, back to Secretary Noem. Again, I congratulated her on her new position. I think she did a fantastic job. And I just want to throw it out there. Shame on some of these individuals within DHS alone, because I've seen a lot of stories where they have said a DHS official has said this or has said that. Unknown sources, or somebody, an unnamed senior official. Look, whether you like me, whether you don't like me, or whether you're indifferent, the one thing you're always going to get from a lot of people, and it's just bottom line, I have never been afraid to be vocal and actually put my name out there and say, yes, I'm the one that said it. So I think it's pretty weak. And if you're out there listening and you're one of those guys, you're pretty soft and pretty weak that you can't put your name to paper and actually admit who you are. So that's all I got to say about that. On that note, till next week, stay safe and God bless.